what defines the soul of American automotive history. Today, we might think of the cutting-edge Tesla Plaid or the mid-engine Corvette C8, but it is time to take a look into the past. We are talking about the golden era of Detroit, a time when American steel ruled the roads and the concept of too much horsepower simply did not exist. A lot of you guys find some of my videos nostalgic or reminiscent, which makes me very happy. I enjoy that part of making these videos. I wasn't around during this time, and being able to learn about these cars has definitely continued my passion for doing this. Most people my age are not interested in the things I like, so I really do appreciate the comments from you guys. In terms of this week's video, I will be counting down the rarest, most priceless American cars ever built. These aren't just expensive, they are the unicorns of the automotive world. Because this is a list video, I can only briefly talk about each car, which sucks because some of these machines have so much more to offer in terms of history and drama. Also, I would like to clarify that when I say priceless, I mean that even if you have the money, you probably can't buy them because they are locked away in museums or private vaults. I did extensive research to find out the most accurate production numbers and backstories for each car. With that said, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Number 10. 1969 Chevrolet Corvette ZL1. Few cars are designed with such secrecy as the 1969 ZL1. Designed and engineered as a race car for the street, this was like getting a dedicated NASCAR engine dropped into a road-legal chassis. That is the best way to compare it to the present time. This car just makes the list because it is quite possibly the rarest production Corvette ever made. Chevrolet offered the ZL1 as an option code, but they didn't exactly advertise it. It featured an all-aluminum 427 big block engine, which was lighter than the small block engines of the time, but produced monstrous power. It was rated at 430 horsepower, but we all know how GM liked to underrate their engines back then. Independent testing revealed it made closer to 560 horsepower. That is absolutely insane for 1969. The problem was the price. The ZL1 option package alone cost $4,718, which was more than the base price of the car itself. It doubled the cost of the car. Because of this, only 2 were ever sold to the public. 2. That's it. To this day, these Corvettes are fetching a pretty penny, millions actually, whenever they rarely surface. It's unfortunate for the consumers back then who missed out, but maybe I'm being a little too harsh on them for not spending double the money on just an engine. Number 9. 1954 Oldsmobile F-88. Following up on the Corvette, we have this oddball from General Motors history. Man, who doesn't love this car? I mean, everyone knows the Corvette, but the F-88 is like its more stylish, sophisticated older brother that never got the chance to shine. It was a dream car designed by the legendary Harley Earl to show the world what Oldsmobile could do. Built on the same chassis as the early Corvette, the F-88 featured a 324 cubic inch rocket V8, making it significantly more powerful than the Blue Flame 6-cylinder found in the Vettes of that year. It was painted in this gorgeous metallic gold, which just screams 1950s optimism. The interior was pure luxury, with pigskin upholstery and a console that looked like it belonged in a fighter jet. So, why is it priceless? Because GM killed it. They were terrified that the F-88 would steal sales away from the Chevrolet Corvette, so they ordered the project to be canceled and the car to be destroyed. However, pieces of the car were smuggled out in crates, I'm not really sure how, and reassembled years later. It is the only one in existence, just one. It sold at auction years ago for over $3 million, but honestly, you can't put a price on a car that represents a timeline where Oldsmobile was the king of performance. Number 8. 1967 Ford Shelby GT500 Super Snake. Yes, the car that was built to test tires. That sounds boring, I know, but trust me, this is the holy grail of Mustangs. Carroll Shelby was working with Goodyear to promote their new Thunderbolt tires, and he decided the best way to do that was to build a Mustang that could drive at 170 miles per hour all day long.
He took a standard GT750 and dropped in the 427 racing engine from the Ford GT40 Mark II, the same engine that had just won Le Mans. This was a legitimate race engine inside a streetcar. The result was the Super Snake. It produced over 520 horsepower in 1969. Shelby planned to produce 50 of them for the public, but when they crunched the numbers, the price tag was going to be astronomical, double the price of a regular GT750 and more than a 427 Cobra. The dealers said no one would buy it, so the project was scrapped. Only the one prototype was ever built. It's a tragedy, really, because this was the ultimate muscle car. It eventually sold for $2.2 million, making it the most expensive Mustang ever made. I don't know a single person who doesn't love the look of this car with those unique triple stripes. Number 7. 1938 Phantom Corsair. This is probably the weirdest looking car on this list. I mean, look at it. It looks like the Batmobile if it was designed in the 1930s. The Phantom Corsair was a prototype designed by Rust Heinz, yes, of Heinz ketchup family. He had the money and the vision to build his dream car, and man, is it spicy. It featured a futuristic 6-passenger cabin with 4 people sitting in the front row. 4 people! The body was hand-beaten aluminum and steel, and it had no door handles. Instead, you open the doors with electric push buttons, which was unheard of in 1938. The wheels were completely skirted, giving it this floating, slug-like appearance. I made a video about weird concept cars a couple of weeks ago, and this fits right in. Under the hood was a Cord V8, so it had the power to back up the looks. Sadly, Rust Heinz died in a car accident shortly after the prototype was finished, and the car never went into production. There is only one in the world, and it currently resides in the National Automobile Museum in Nevada. It is truly priceless because it represents a vision of the future that never came to be. Number 6. 1948 Tucker 48. We can't have a list of rare American cars without mentioning the Tucker. This is the car that scared the Big Three in Detroit so much that, according to legend, they conspired to destroy the company. The Tucker 48, also known as the Torpedo, was light years ahead of its time. Preston Tucker wanted to build the safest car on the road. It featured a third headlight in the center that turned with the steering wheel, something we see in modern luxury cars today, but back then it was alien technology. It had a rear-mounted helicopter engine modified for the road, a pop-out windscreen for safety, and a padded dashboard. It is truly unfortunate for the consumers because they were being ripped off by the industry that didn't want this car to succeed. Only 51 were ever completed before the factory was shut down amidst a massive fraud investigation, of which Tucker was eventually acquitted, but the damage was done. Today, owning a Tucker is like owning a piece of American tragedy. They are worth millions, but the story behind them is what makes them truly invaluable. That wraps up the first half of our list. We have seen secret engines, destroyed dreams, and cars that were simply too advanced for their own good. But believe it or not, the cars coming up in the top 5 are even more exclusive. We are talking about the absolute peak of American automotive history, including a car that might be the most valuable vehicle ever made in the United States.
Number 5. 1963 Chrysler Turbine car. Few cars are designed with such uniqueness as the Chrysler Turbine. Designed and engineered with a jet engine under the bonnet, this was like getting a spaceship for the road. That is the best way to compare it to the present time. This car just makes the list because of its incredible engineering and heartbreaking history. Chrysler wanted to prove that gas turbines could power passenger cars. They built 55 of these beautiful machines with bodies handcrafted by Gia in Italy. The engine could run on anything flammable: diesel, jet fuel, kerosene, and even tequila. Yes, the car could literally run on tequila. I mean, wouldn't people want to just drink it? Like, what? Anyway, Chrysler gave these cars to regular families to test drive for 3 months at a time. The program was a huge success and people loved them. The exhaust smelled like perfume and the engine made this futuristic whistling sound. However, these cars get a bad rap because of what happened next. Due to import duties and liability concerns, Chrysler decided to crush them. They took 46 of these masterpieces and destroyed them. It is truly unfortunate for the consumers because they were robbed of a jet-age future. Only 9 survived, and most are in museums. Jay Leno owns one of the only running examples in private hands. To this day, these cars are priceless because you simply cannot find them. They represent a boldness that Chrysler just doesn't have anymore. Number 4. 1938 Buick Y-Job. Following up on the experimental turbine, we have the car that invented the very concept of a concept car. Man, who doesn't love this car? I mean, everyone knows the impact this vehicle had, even if they have never heard the name. Designed by the famous Harley Earl, the Y-Job was not meant for mass production. It was a statement. It was lower and wider than anything else on the road in 1938. It featured hidden headlamps, flush door handles, and wraparound bumpers. It looks completely fine today, but back then it was alien technology. Harley Earl actually used this as his daily driver, which is just the ultimate flex. Imagine driving a one-of-one prototype to work every day. The Y in the name was used because experimental planes were usually named X, and Earl wanted to go one step beyond that. The car introduced styling cues that Buick would use for decades, like the waterfall grille. There is only one Y-Job in existence. It belongs to General Motors and is kept in their Heritage Center. You could offer them $1 billion and they wouldn't sell it. It is the DNA of the modern car industry. Number 3. 1964 Shelby Cobra Daytona Coupe. Probably one of the coolest cars on this list. I mean, this was the hottest American-built performance car you could find on a racetrack. Carroll Shelby was tired of seeing the open-top Cobras losing speed on the long straights of Le Mans against the Ferraris. The aerodynamics of the Roadsters were just like a brick wall. So he asked designer Peter Brock to build a coupe. The result was this oddball when it comes to styling. It had a chopped-off tail, known as a camback, which made it look unfinished to some people at the time. Shelby's mechanics hated it. They thought it was ugly. I'm not saying I hate it, but I see why they thought it looked strange compared to the curvy Ferraris. But it worked. It was 20 miles per hour faster than the Roadster. Only 6 were ever built. One of them, chassis CSX2287, went missing for decades and was found in a storage locker in California owned by a recluse who didn't know a thing about cars. Or maybe she just didn't care. That specific car is the first American car to ever win the World Manufacturers' Championship. It is arguably the most significant American race car in history. If one came up for sale today, the price would be astronomical. Likely over $20 million. Number 2. 1935 Duesenberg SSJ. The Duesenberg Model J was already the most expensive car in America during the Depression. It was a car for those who choose to go first class all the way. But the SSJ, that was on another level. This was the supercharged short wheelbase version, essentially a hot rod for the ultra-wealthy. Only 2 were ever made. 2. One was sold to actor Gary Cooper, and the other was loaned to Clark Gable. These were the biggest movie stars in the world, driving the fastest cars in the world. Under the massive bonnet was a straight 8 engine producing 400 horsepower. To put that in perspective, a standard car back then had maybe 80 horsepower. This thing was a monster. 0 to 60 was done in around 8 seconds, which in 1935 was faster than anything else on the road. The Gary Cooper car sold at auction a few years ago for $22 million, making it the most expensive American car ever sold. How do you feel about this? Is $22 million too much for a car from the 30s, or is it a fair price for a piece of Hollywood royalty? Personally, I think it's worth every penny. Number 1. 1962 Shelby Cobra CSX 2000. We have reached the top spot, and it has to be this one. The Genesis, the very first Shelby Cobra ever built. This is the car that started it all. Without CSX 2000, there would be no Mustangs, no Dodge Vipers, and no American performance scene as we know it today. Carroll Shelby took a British AC Ace chassis and shoved a Ford V8 into it. He painted this single car a different color every time a magazine reviewed it, sometimes red, sometimes blue, sometimes yellow, to trick the press into thinking he had a whole fleet of cars. In reality, it was just this one poor car getting repainted every weekend. That is actually insane when you think about it. It's the ultimate hustle. This car remained in Carroll Shelby's personal possession his entire life. It has the original ripped leather seats and the dents from where he drove it. It is perfectly imperfect. After he passed, it sold for $13.75 million. But honestly, to me, this car is truly priceless because it represents the dream of one man who changed the world. It's not just a car, it's a legend. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you made it to this point, then props to you. You really like watching my videos, which means a lot. Anyway, I got some good news. In the next couple of months, there's going to be some drastic improvements. For one, the audio is going to hopefully be a little bit more crisp and clear. And also, I might be learning a new software program to help with my editing and make things look better for you guys to enjoy. At the end of the day, you guys are my audience, and I'm the creator, so you guys come first. That's going to wrap it up. I will see you guys next week.